Hello everyone, this is Swagatam. So from today we are going to start a new series of video lecture where you people will be able to learn the most important topic about our nervous system. So let us have to start today's topic. At the very first time, if I talk about our human body, then all of us will know that our human body is having a lot of systems, that is like the digestive systems, respiratory system, the reproductive system, the excretory systems, endocrine systems, and also we are having the circulatory system that is related to our blood flow, including our cardiovascular systems, and also we are having the immunosystems, that is the defense systems of our body. Now you can consider yourselves as a healthy individual if all of the systems that is present inside your body are working in a proper way. Now to regulate all of the systems in a proper way, there is another systems that is known as the nervous systems. The nervous system. Okay, now if you consider your human body as a department, at that time the nervous systems will be the HOD of this particular department, and the remaining all of the system, that is digestive, respiratory, reproductive, all of the system that is present inside your body are collectively called as the faculty of this particular department. Now all of us will know that if there is any communication error between any faculty and the HOD of any department, at that time that department will not able to work in a proper way. Same case is here. If there is any communication error between any system of your body and the nervous system, at that time that system will not able to work in a proper way. As a result, your human body will not able to regulate in a proper way. That means let's suppose if there is a communication error between these digestive systems and the nervous systems, at that time your digestion will not able to work in a proper way. That means the nervous system is responsible to regulate all of the systems that is present inside your body. On the other hand, the nervous system is responsible to regulate our mental health, that is depends on our stress level. The nervous system is responsible to regulate our attitude, that is depends on our every actions to every reactions. On the other hand, nervous system is responsible to maintain our feelings, our emotions, when we will have to be more emotional and when we will have to be less emotional, each and everything under control of this nervous systems. Now if I talk about this nervous systems, then nervous system is basically constituted the two most important things. The first things is known as the CNS, or the central nervous systems, and the second most important things is known as the PNS, or the peripheral nervous system. Okay, peripheral nervous system. Now if I talk about the CNS, or the central nervous systems, then the brain, cerebellum, spinal cord are the most important part of the CNS, or the central nervous system. Now let me draw a diagram. This is the last portions, the rod-like structure. This portion is known as the brain. This portion is known as the cerebellum, and the remaining rod-like structure is known as the spinal cord. This is the spinal cord. Okay, so this is what about the structure of CNS, or the central nervous system, and the brain, cerebellum, and the spinal cord, the most important part of this central nervous system. Now if I talk about the the peripheral nervous systems, then again I have to draw the same diagram. This is our brain, and this is our cerebellum, and the remaining rod-like structures is known as our spinal cord. Now if you consider that this is the whole structure of our body, let's suppose this is the whole structure of our body, and this is the part of our CNS or the central nervous system, that is the brain, cerebellum, and the spinal cord. Now whatever the PNS or the peripheral nervous systems, the nerves associated with this central nervous systems are collectively known as the peripheral nervous system, or the nerves which arise from the central nervous system, so that is the brain, spinal cord, and the cerebellum, are collectively known as the PNS or the peripheral nervous system. Now what is the function of this PNS or the peripheral nervous systems? Now the main function of this PNS or the peripheral nervous system is actually make a route of communication, so that our central nervous system will easily able to communicate with our different parts of body. That means if you look at this peripheral nerves, if you look at the peripheral nerves, then you can easily see that the one end of this peripheral nerves is actually connected with this CNS or the central nervous systems, and the another end of this peripheral nerves is actually connected with the another parts of your body. That means here PNS or the peripheral nervous system is actually connecting as an adapter. Adapter means the things which actually responsible to make a route of communication between the two or more things. Here the PNS is doing same things. That means the one end of this PNS is connected with this CNS, and that is the central nervous system, and the another end of this PNS is actually connected with the another parts of our body. So actually PNS is responsible to make this route of communication, so that our central nervous systems and different parts of our body can communicate with each other. So this is whatever the main function of PNS or the peripheral nervous system. Now if I talk about the nerves associated with this peripheral nervous system, nerves associated with PNS or the peripheral nervous system, then basically there are two types of nerves. The first one is known as the cranial nerves, and the second one that is known as the spinal nerves. Now this portion of our body is actually known as the cranial region. Now simple, if I talk about the cranial nerves, then the peripheral nerves which arise from this cranial region of our body, that is basically from our brain and the cerebellum, are collectively known as the cranial nerves. The peripheral nerves which arise from this cranial region are collectively known as the cranial nerves. On the other hand, this portion of our body is under control of spinal cord. So the peripheral nerves that arise from this spinal cord are collectively known as the spinal nerves. Now if I talk about the cranial nerves, then there are total 12 pairs of cranial nerves is available in our nervous systems, and if I talk about the spinal nerves, then there are total 31 pairs of spinal nerves is available in our nervous systems. Now if I talk about the name of these 12 pairs of cranial nerves, then the first pair is known as the optic nerve. The second pair that is known as the the olfactory nerves. The next one is the ocular motor, and the next one that is the trochlear nerve. The next one is the trigeminal nerves. The next one that is the abducens nerves, and the next one is the facial nerves. Now if I talk about the optic nerves, then it is actually associated with our visions, that is our eye. And if I talk about the olfactory nerves, then it is related to our olfactions. And if I talk about the ocular motor nerves, then ocular motor nerves is also associated with our visions. With the help of this ocular motor nerves, we can move our eyeball ups and downs. Okay, we can move our eyeball ups and downs. On the other hand, whenever a ray of light will put into your eyes, at the time the size of your eyeball will be constricted. This is actually due to this ocular motor nerves. Okay. If I talk about the trochlear nerves, let's suppose a person which is having a problem into the trochlear nerves. At the time, that person will not able to look down. Okay. If a person having the problem with this trochlear nerves, he or she will not able to look down. This is whatever the function of this trochlear nerve, and trochlear nerves is also associated with our eye or the visions. Now, if I talk about the abducens nerves, I have already mentioned that the function of this ocular motor nerve is the movement of our eyeball ups and down, but the function of this abducens nerve is the movement of our eyeball laterally. So it is helps into the movement of our eyeball laterally. And if I talk about the facial nerves, then the facial nerves is also three part. There is the B1, B2, and B3. Okay, so this is the B1, B2, and B3 is responsible to maintain the different facial position of our body. And on the other hand, the wrinkle that is present on our face, that is due to this facial nerves. And apart from this, we are also having the auditorial nerves, or the vestibular nerves. That is responsible for our hearing, and also we are having the glossopharyngeal nerves, and also we are having the vagus nerve. That is the very most important nerves. And also we are having the hypoglossal nerves. We are having not hypoglossal. We are having the spinal accessories. After vagus, we are having the spinal accessories nerves, and later on the last pair, that is the hypoglossal nerve. So I think the 12 pairs, and this is whatever the 12 pairs of nerves: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. So this is whatever the 12 pairs of cranial nerves with their names and arrangement. And if I talk about the spinal nerves, then we can divide our spinal cord into 5 segments. The first segment, that is known as the cervical region, and the second is known as the thoracic region, and the third segment is known as the lumbar region, and the fourth segment is known as the sacral region, and the last segment, or the fifth segment, is known as the coccygeal segment. Now, if I talk about the nerves associated with the cervical region, then there are total 8 pairs of nerves is available. And if I talk about the thoracic region, then there are total 12 pairs of nerves is available. And in case of lumbar and sacral, there are total 5 pairs, and 5 pairs of nerves are available. And coccygeal region is having only 1 pair of nerves. So this is what about total 31 pairs of nerves. Okay, so this is what about the sense of cranial nerves and the spinal nerves. Now, if I talk about, just a minute. Now, if I talk about the functions of this peripheral nervous system, the function of peripheral nervous system, then basically there are two most important functions, that is the sensory input, and the other most important function, that is the motor output. So what is the sensory input and motor output? Let's suppose this is the structure of your central nervous systems, and this is what about your spinal cord, this is what about your cerebellum, and this is what about your brain, and this is what about your pons and medulla. Okay, so this is the structure of your central nervous system. And let's suppose this is your eyes, which is open right now. Okay, and let's suppose this is the source of light. let's assume that let's assume that a beam of light will fall into your eyes, which is having a high intensity. Now, as soon as the light will fall into your eyes, immediately you will close your eyes. This is what is the sense of sensory input and motor output. Now, let's try to understand it again. Let's suppose a beam of light which is having a high intensity will fall into your eyes. At that time, your eye will send this information to your central nervous system by using the route of peripheral nervous system. I already mentioned that the function of peripheral nervous system is actually make a route of communication between the central nervous system and your different organ system of your body. Okay, so by using this route of peripheral nervous system, your eye will send this information to your central nervous system, and as soon as your central nervous system as well as your brain will get this information, immediately your brain will decide some orders. Okay, will take some orders, and as soon as your brain will take some orders against this information, immediately this order will pass from your brain to your eyes by using another route of peripheral nervous systems. Okay, now the way through which the first information will come from your eyes to your central nervous system is known as the sensory pathway. Sensory pathway or the efferent pathway On the other hand, the nerves associated with the sensory pathway or the efferent pathway is known as the efferent nerve. Just a minute. Is known as the efferent nerves or the sensory nerve. And the whole process is known as the sensory input. On the other hand, the way through which your brain sends its order to your eyes is known as the motor pathway. The pathway through which your brain will send its order to your eyes is known as the motor pathway or the efferent pathway. Okay. On the other hand, the nerves associated with this motor pathway or efferent pathway is known as the efferent nerve or the motor nerve. Okay, and as soon as the information will pass from your brain to your eyes, immediately you close your eyes. This phenomenon or the movement of your eyes, that is, at first it was open, but as soon as the information will pass from your brain to your eyes, immediately you close your eyes. The movement of your eyes is known as the motor movement. And the whole process is known as the motor output. Okay, so this is whatever the sense of sensory input and motor output. Now the factors which is responsible to run the pathway of sensory sensory input pathway, that is like our touch, taste, hearing, sight, and smell. That means the parts of our special sense are responsible to run this sensory pathway. On the other hand, if I talk about the motor output, then let's suppose this is our motor output. Then basically you can say there are total two types of movement. The first movement, that is the voluntary movement. The second movement, that is the involuntary movement. Now, what is the voluntary movement and what is the involuntary movement? Now, let's suppose I decided to shake my hand for next 3 minutes, and after 3 minutes I decide no, I'll have to do it 2 minutes more, and after 2 minutes I decide no, I'll have to do it 1 minute more. That means I can shake my hand according to my wish, or I can move my hand according to my wish. I can start it according to my wish, and I can stop it according to my wish. That means I am the controller of this movement. You can contract your skeletal muscle according to your wish. That means that is under control of you. Now, any movement that is under control of you, that means the movement which you can start or which you can stop according to your wish, is known as the voluntary movement. The movements which under control of you are collectively called as the voluntary movement. And on the other hand, if I talk about the involuntary movement, then there are sub movements present in our body that is not controlled by ourselves. That is like the movement of your GIT, that is the gastrointestinal tract movement. And if I talk about that, you will not able to increase your heartbeat, you will not able to decrease your heartbeat, not even you will able to stop your heartbeat. On the other hand, if I say that you will not able to commit suicide by holding your own breathing, because the contraction and the relaxation of your respiratory muscle is not under control of you. So the things that is the movement that is beyond of your control is a part of our involuntary movement. The movement which is beyond of your control is known as the involuntary movement. Now, in case of voluntary movement, that is the beyond of your control. Okay. Now, if I talk about the voluntary movement, then I am the controller. That means I can start it and I can stop it according to my wish. But in case of involuntary movement, I will not able to stimulate the involuntary movement. On the other hand, I will not able to suppress the involuntary movement, or I will not able to start the involuntary movement and I will not able to stop the involuntary movement. Now, to start or to stimulate or to increase the involuntary movement, the sympathetic nervous system is responsible. The sympathetic nervous system is responsible. On the other hand, to stimulate, sympathetic nervous system is responsible. On the other hand, to suppress, the parasympathetic nervous system is responsible. Parasympathetic nervous system is responsible. So this is whatever the sense of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. The nervous system that is responsible to initiate or to increase or to stimulate the involuntary movement is known as the sympathetic nervous system, and the nervous system which is responsible to suppress or to decrease or to inhibit the involuntary movement is known as the parasympathetic nervous systems. Now, if I talk about the whole function of central nervous system as well as peripheral nervous system by using a flow chart, then let's suppose this is our CNS, and this is the different parts of our body. Okay, this is the different parts of our body. Now, to regulate all of these parts of our body as well as our whole human body, there should be a route of communication through which they will able to communicate with each other. And this route of communication actually nothing but the PNS or the peripheral nervous system. Okay, that means if there is any necessary to pass any information from your different parts of your body to your central nervous system, at first it will have to pass into your PNS or the peripheral nervous system, and after that from this peripheral nervous system it will pass into your central nervous system. Okay, because one end of your peripheral nervous system is connected with the central nervous system and another end of your peripheral nervous system is connected with the different parts of your body. That's why at first any information will have to pass to your CNS. It will not able to directly pass. At first it will have to pass into your PNS or the peripheral nervous system. After then from this PNS it will pass into a CNS. Same case is here. If there will necessary to pass any order from your CNS, basically from your brain, to your different parts of your body, at first it must have to pass into our PNS or the peripheral nervous systems. At that time, after then, this information or the order will pass from your PNS to your target organ or your target organ systems of your body. Okay. Let's suppose this is your urinary bladder, which get filled with the urine, and as soon as it will fill with the urine, this information will at first pass into your PNS or the peripheral nervous system, and after that it will pass into your central nervous system. Okay. And after then, your brain will activate your micturition centers and generate the micturition reflex. Okay. And after then, this micturition reflex will have to pass into your PNS, and from this PNS it will have to pass to your urinary bladder. And after then, the sphincter which is associated with this urinary bladder will get open, and you will able to micturate yourselves. So this is whatever the sense through which with the help of central nervous systems and peripheral nervous systems, the normal homeostatic conditions of our body as well as the normal mental status of our body are continuously maintaining. So I think this much is sufficient for today's lecture. In our upcoming lecture, I will discuss the rest of the topic that is related to our nervous system. So thank you everyone.